I'ma say this once just to start off the video, but I love both of these guys. And I think when it comes to the conversations that we normally have with fans of the teams that in which these players play for, I usually make that very clear that yes, I'm going out there and talking about these guys just based off of what's been happening and what I've been seeing, because at the end of the day, if I didn't care about these players and I didn't have any sort of positive affinity towards them, I wouldn't really find too much need to talk about them in the first place. So, we're going over to 2019 and going over the top 2 picks of this entire entry draft and where these guys have gone ever since then. I know we've made our 2-3 years later type of videos going over the same scenario in the past, and we've always kind of linked these two guys together, but when it comes to the start of the 2022-2023 season, it's pretty much been a week's worth of play so far. So, I feel like this is an appropriate benchmark to go out there and maybe bring up a few conversations here and there that sort of stir the pot a little bit, you know? So, today we're talking about 2019, and we're going over the first overall pick, New Jersey Devils center Jack Hughes, as well as second overall pick by the New York Rangers, it's winger Kaapo Kakko. Because ever since the 2019 draft came and went, we've had several different reasons to bring up these guys' names in the past few years. We had started off by talking about how in the 2019-20 season, both Hughes and Kakko did not debut all too well in the NHL. They had pretty mediocre years, which isn't that bad when you really think about it. It's just, in comparison to former top picks that we had seen, Jack Hughes and Kaapo Kakko's first NHL seasons were both kind of disappointing. They weren't point-per-game caliber players like Connor McDavid. They didn't score goals upon goals like Laine and Matthews did. They weren't immediate 60-plus point players. They were just kind of there, and you could definitely see that there was a lot more maturing and development time that was needed for both of these guys to be as good as they were supposed to be. As the seasons went on, though, Jack Hughes really started to come into his own as a capable player with some very good pace that controlled the game with his speed and had some incredible puck skills. All the things that we had seen with the NTDP, we were starting to see manifest itself into the top hockey league in the world. Jack Hughes started to make the NHL his playground, and he got himself a pretty big contract because of it. Hughes had 56 points in 49 games played last season, which was a 90-something point pace if you multiply everything out by 82 games played. He was a very good, very dynamic, electric player that a lot of Devils fans are saying, yeah, this guy is the future of our franchise. He is going to be the reason that people put their butts in the seats because they want to see Jack Hughes take over games, score a heck of a lot of points, make some very nice rushes end-to-end, and put up some very nice assists in the process. You had yourselves Kaapo Kakko, though, on the other side, who did not exhibit that same sort of success. Last season, he had 18 points in 43 games played, which definitely is not the 90-point caliber pace that his first overall counterpart, Jack Hughes, was accomplishing last season. However, even though Kaapo Kakko had a lot of difficulties, let's just say, with deployment and development, and there were line-mate issues here and there, it was all kind of an issue as to whether or not Kaapo Kakko would actually be able to play the game that he played in Finland in the Big Apple. He was, at his best, a puck-protecting, puck-facilitating offensive threat who could pass, who could shoot, who could make very good plays, and who could just dominate the offensive zone with his positioning, skills, and overall frame. Kakko was able to manhandle other competition throughout different parts of his junior career, but in New York, he was never able to make it work in the same way. That is until the Stanley Cup Playoffs of 2022, where Kaapo Kakko, placed on a line with Alexis Lafreniere and Philip Cheadle, dubbed the Kid Line, was able to go out there and be very productive. This line was incredible for New York in the postseason, and a lot of people were going out there and saying, hey, all they gotta do is play this line again together, and we'll see what happens next season when they're really given an opportunity to mesh, because Lafreniere, Kakko, these guys both have incredible ceilings long-term as their NHL careers go on, so we'll see where things go from there. As we said, it's been about a week of NHL action so far, and Kaapo Kakko, in the 4 games that he has played, has scored 2 goals. And in fact, he's looked really good scoring some of those goals too. The very first goal that Kaapo Kakko scored against the Minnesota Wild was an absolute beauty. It might even be the best goal so far in the NHL season, in week 1 at least, because my goodness, this guy went out there and, like, you know how sometimes in NHL 23 now, because that's the new video game that's out, I would frequently go out there and start circling the net and using my L2 button to shield the puck away while just circling and circling and circling? Kaapo Kakko was kind of doing that against the Minnesota Wild defense. Now, I know the Wild kind of get memed on because they've allowed so many goals to kick off the year, but Kaapo Kakko was able to just waltz around the entire Minnesota blue line that was out on that shift, and he scored probably the most beautiful goal that he'll have in a while in the process. Now, he's got 2 goals in 4 games, so he's half a goal a game. He's on pace for 41 goals, 41 points in 82 games, so things will change as the year goes on. But it is interesting to note just how satisfied Rangers fans have been with Kaapo Kakko to kick off the year. Not just because he had 1 goal where he was amazing, but because his entire body of work so far has been a significant improvement than that which we have seen over the past few years. Kaapo Kakko is a lot more confident now. Kaapo Kakko is making plays, and he's going out there actually doing things that the Kakko of old probably would not have been really too daring to try. Now, obviously, of course, it doesn't reflect in the score sheet all too much, but the results will come. And I definitely do want to be on the more optimistic side when it comes to second overall players panning out to their potentials, because having a goal like that scored against the Minnesota Wild, it definitely sets a very good tone for the remainder of the season. Meanwhile, the reason we're talking about his first overall counterpart, Jack Hughes, as well, is because in the first 2 games of the season for Jack, he's actually gone pointless. He's got 0 points in 2 games played so far, and a lot of Devils fans would go out there and say, hey, you can't just isolate the Jack Hughes versus Kaapo Kakko numbers and say that Kakko has more goals, therefore he's doing better or whatever. It's like, Jack Hughes is being played so much for a New Jersey Devils team that just can't seem to get it done. There's a reason Fire Lindy was chanted out in the arena the other day, and it's not because it's Jack Hughes' fault. The Devils have had a very tough start to kick off 2022-2023, and it's to the point now where you have guys like Jack Hughes who are still going out there, they're playing hard, they're making some good reads, but they just cannot get things to go. Things are not going their way because things are not going the entire team's way. Obviously, it's going to take some time for the Devils to really stabilize. Hopefully, it doesn't take that much time because I know there's a lot of expectations with the players you acquired. Okay, you traded away Ty Smith. You got a guy who's apparently a lot better. Jack Hughes is older. Alexander Holtz is here. There were some expectations heading into this season for New Jersey, and the start's been tough. There's definitely a lot of time to go, but for now, I thought it was an interesting footnote to put in the story of both of these players that at the start of the 2022-2023 season, it appears that Kaapo Kakko has gotten off on the right foot, and Jack Hughes with the Devils, they definitely could have had a better start. But either way, we've got ourselves a lot more hockey to be played. You can talk to the comments your thoughts about both of these guys and what they've accomplished so far in the 2022-2023 season. I, for one, want to see Kaapo Kakko go out there and match the sort of output that Jack Hughes has been able to accomplish for the Devils. I know it's going to be a bit difficult because deployment, you have yourselves Artemi Panarin and Kreider and Zibanejad and so many other players that deserve a bigger role on New York than Kaapo Kakko at the moment. Meanwhile, Jack Hughes is the guy. He is supposed to be the savior for the Devils right now. So there's a difference in deployment, there's a difference in expectations, but when it comes to the ultimate talent skill set so far, I'm interested in seeing where both of these guys go long term. Talk to the comments all your thoughts about where things have gone in the short term so far. How do you think both of these guys have played? How do you think their teams have played? What did you think about the goal that Kakko scored? And where do you see him going in the future? Talk in the comments your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj 99, and bye.